Good evening, everybody.
Man, it seems like it's been forever since we've been here, sis, right?
Just like that. It feels like a long time, but that doesn't mean we haven't worked in the interim. But it does feel like a long time.
Hello, everyone. My name is Nakia Franklin.
And I am Von Greta.
And welcome to this episode of The Real
and Raw Talk Show,
where there are no boundaries
and no judgments. Let me tell you something. I'm sorry, I'm thinking. Okay. That was so bad. Look, I forgot I didn't have to work today. I had to work. Okay, I'm in the zone. Let me tell you something, you guys. We really have, I dare say, exciting, but it is exciting to hear history walking, at least for me, because I love history, but sometimes history isn't really beautiful. But I tell you what will be beautiful about this program tonight, all the way from the Bahamas, we have, directed by Dexter, I forgot how to say his last name. I'm going to say it. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. But his name is Dexter. He's such a sweet man, but he directs the Bahamas National Choir. I'm so excited. I had the opportunity to hear them live a couple of years ago, and they're going to be on this show, and you're going to learn more about them during the show, okay? But also, for those of us who are first time joining us, we want you, and those who are repeat audience members, we know you already know the drill, but let me tell you, it is definitely time to get really raw, and we want to hear from you. So do us a favor, go to www.streamyard.com, and I'll post it, but www.streamyard.com/Facebook. That gives access to your comments. So if you're watching on Facebook and or YouTube, whatever you type in, we want to see it. Jamie wants to hear from you. We want to hear from you. We want to engage with you. So to be able to see those comments, you need to go to www.streamyard.com/Facebook if you're watching from Facebook. If not, you're on YouTube, you're good to go. So stick around and post questions and share, right, sis? That's our favorite line. And start your own watch party. You guys start to watch party. Tell everybody, send a text right now, because it's time to enter into the no judgment zone.
It is extremely hard to go back to Jasper. Just seeing the city limits of Jasper, Texas, the trees caving in, and seeing a long, rugged road would just bring back the memories.
One of the worst hate crimes this nation has ever seen. Byrd was kidnapped and then tied behind a pickup truck and dragged for nearly 3 miles in the East Texas city of Jasper, all because he was black.
Here, a member of the Ku Klux Klan adjusts his hood during a rally Saturday, June 27th, 1998 in Jasper, Texas. The KKK held a rally to denounce the dragging death of James Byrd Jr.
We learned that there was a great deal of prejudice in our community that we kind of swept under the rug.
These photos show the truck used in this crime, the chain, the road, and where Mr. Byrd's decapitated head was found.
A black boy found the body on his way to church, and he called the sheriff's department because it was outside of the city limits.
The sheriff immediately called the FBI in for backup, but it didn't take long for the news to spread through town.
He took the ministers out there and showed us, and we saw where the teeth were and where the baseball cap was and where the arm and the head were, and it was horrible. He wanted us to know as much as he knew.
The 3 suspects in the slaying of James Byrd Jr. are shown here. From left, Lawrence Russell Brewer, 31, of Sulphur Springs, Texas. Sean Berry, 24, of Jasper. And John William King, 24, of Jasper. Brewer was executed by lethal injection at the state penitentiary in Huntsville, Texas on September 21st, 2011. Barry was sentenced to life imprisonment and will be eligible for parole in 2038. King was executed on April 24th, 2019. King was the first white man in Texas to be convicted of a murder of a black man. James Byrd Sr., father of James Byrd Jr., kneels in prayer during Sunday services at the Greater New Bethel Baptist Church the day following his son's funeral, Sunday, June 14, 1998, in Jasper. On Wednesday, October 22, 2009, President Barack Obama signed a bill that Congress passed into law known as the Matthew Shepard and James Byrd Jr. Hate Crimes Prevention Act. This hate crimes measure was named for James Byrd Jr. and for Matthew Shepard, a gay Wyoming teenager who died after being kidnapped and severely beaten in October 1998, the same year James Byrd Jr. was murdered.
Man. All right, man. Okay, that was heavy.
It was heavy.
This is
it was heavier
important to log on at 8:55 so you can see what's going on. So today, our guest is one of the daughters of James Byrd Jr. And this beautiful, amazing, courageous young lady's name is Mrs. Jamie Byrd-Grant. To those who do not know of this gentleman, we just shared a bit of the history as to what occurred to this human being. And this is why we are here today, to speak about his life and the life of his family, his daughter. And we shared it in our pre-show so you can have some type of information and details to prepare you for our discussion today. Right. Now, it is important, as like I said, that you join us on time so you can really be fully engaged with our guests before each episode. And today, our guest will have her say, unfiltered, no second takes, no blurred out words, no anything. This is her space on this platform to share anything and everything that she desires to share without someone dictating what she has the capacity to express regarding her personal experience as a result of the murder of her father, by 3 white men. Now she will have her perspective heard. Her voice will be here, will be her emotions, and her emotions will be her truth. It's unscripted, unfiltered, and it's real and it's raw. So please let's welcome Miss Jamie Byrd-Grant to the platform.
Hi, Jamie.
Beautiful.
Isn't she?
Hello. Thank you, Greta. Thank you, Nakia, for this opportunity. Thank you guys so much for inviting me on your show.
Absolutely. It's truly our pleasure. We're our honor. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I just want to make sure that we have the ability to give you as much of this full hour to share your space and share your heart with the community and with our audience so you can release and heal. So today, I just want to make sure that people understand and that you are clear that you are in a safe space that will allow you to speak from your heart and you are not censored. You will not be judged, and there are no boundaries set on what you desire to share. We do have an hour, and I know you had an opportunity to share with Greta and I your entire heart until you were filled and left complete in that moment. And it didn't matter how long it took. And today we only have an hour. Today is the moment that we spoke about, and now is the time for you to impress upon the hearts of the world what you were never allowed to share before in your own words. This is a live episode, and people are free to comment and post questions, and you do not have to address those questions, and you are free to do so if you should so desire. I'm just trying to make sure it's clear. And today is your moment. So please, can you introduce yourself in your own words to our audience?
All right. Well, hello, everyone. My name is Jamie Byrd-Grant. I am the youngest daughter of James Byrd Jr. And I have a sister, older sister, and an older brother. I'm a wife and a mother of a 3-year-old who just keeps me going every day. I like to say he's my pride and joy. He's my light at the end of the tunnel. He is what keeps me going and inspires me every day. Especially in this platform to be able to tell my story, tell my truth, and share what that 16-year-old girl was going through the night of June 7th. I am a police officer, a former educator. I would like to say I still educate. I don't think you ever lose that. That is something that I've always wanted to do is to teach. And so I try to incorporate that also in my career today as a police officer. And I'm a former probation officer with Harris County, adult probation officer. So I'm happy to be here.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And I know that it can be, some people would automatically, question your desire to be a police officer as well as an educator. And, the as a result of the experience that you have gone through, your ability to educate and share so much history and detail and, speak life into people and also, try to figure out, you had to deal with the system, right? The same system that had to prosecute these individuals that committed this heinous crime. So we know that you and your family have done an unknown number of interviews and have been questioned and exposed to all types of allegations regarding your dad. He shouldn't have gotten in the truck. He knew better. Or, why would he do that? Or, what kind of person would just jump in a vehicle with 3 people or, 3 white men at that, especially in this community. And, I've even heard in one of the interviews where some people were saying, well, it was his own fault, and it's like, well, who? But I'm not going to comment on that. I'm going to let you share with all that. So there were attacks on your father's character and your family's character. And there was a lot of opportunities that were missed for you to actually be able to share as a child and as a victim. And like you say, you were 16. So right now we want you to share with the world who you knew and who you know your father, Mr. James Byrd Jr., to be before we move on.
Okay. First, I would like to address those allegations. My dad was abducted. He was taken against his will. If anyone, especially the people of Jasper, if they really truly knew my dad, which a lot of people did, they would know my dad would not voluntarily get in a truck with three white boys, because I refuse to call them men. They were boys, and that's a real nice word for me to say. He would not have gotten in a vehicle. He was a block away from his home my grandmother's home, which is where he was walking to. So those are just people rumors and allegations that people want to say. But to answer your question, I was 16 years didn't and I was in denial for the majority of the time leading up to my dad's homegoing service. I didn't want to know what happened to my dad, because I just knew Jasper as a small community. I knew that there were some racism there just from talk around the family, my mom telling me different stories and things that has happened to Black people in her upbringing. But I never thought that this incident would happen, especially to my dad. And I didn't process that. So my family, my cousin, at the time we were really close, but we're still really close. But she was trying to press up on me to tell me what happened to my dad the day it happened, the day after it happened, and I was refusing to. Like, girl, my daddy coming back. Like, I looked at him as a Superman. Like, nothing has never happened to my dad. He just seemed like he's just this tough person. So I'm like, nothing has happened to him. I was in denial and numb throughout the whole week. The day before his homegoing service, mind you, I'm getting hair done. We going, in the Black community, we got to have our attire right. So we going dress shopping for this homegoing service, still in denial, like he's just gonna show up. The day before the homegoing, the night before the homegoing, I told my cousin, I said, what happened to my dad? And that's when she told me that he was abducted by 3 white supremacists and taken to Huff Creek. Creek is a small community in Jasper, predominantly Black, and that is a community that my mom herself actually grew up in. She was raised in Huff Creek. So it was like a double sword in my stomach, because not only is that they tried to make a statement by taking and doing this heinous crime in Huff Creek, being that it was a predominantly Black community, it was on my family's property. Some of my dad's torso and body parts were on my mom's property. So it was hard to just kind of put all the pieces. And for years, I've gone through just that denial stage. You have those stages of grief. So I've gone through, and I'm still going through it. I wrote a book, Triumph Over Tragedy, and it's about my healing process and about my truth. And the question that I continually ask myself is, I know, because God's word says to be restored and He wants us to be renewed. It is in His word, but I also ask myself, like, writing this book about my healing and my journey, but will I ever be completely healed? I know that I will be completely healed. That's what God's promise is. We will all be completely healed. But I'm asking myself, when would that be? Because I'm steady going through the motions of, grief.
Yeah. Yeah. And, being able to do this on today, we pray, and Von Greta and I are a stand that this will help begin that process for you, because you'll have the opportunity to really share and to really express those things that you really need to get out. Because if you don't have an opportunity to share your story, and share your truth, sometimes when people don't listen, that gets stuck, right? And you don't have the ability to free yourself from the things that you really need to let go of and you really need to get out. And it's not always about somebody doing something. It's about people just listening and hearing your truth, because nobody can share or speak your truth but you. And so tell me this one thing, and then Vaughn, I'm gonna give it over to you. In a few sentences, who was your daddy? What was your greatest memory of your father? And share with us that feeling that you felt when you had those moments with him.
He was a family man. He was very witty, very I would say a clown. He definitely made sure that he was the center of attention at every family event, or any room that he would walk in. You're gonna know that James Byrd Jr. was in the room, because if he wasn't singing his way, he was high-fiving everybody. That's why I think everybody in Jasper knew him, because he had that personality, that he was just a very carefree, happy-go-lucky guy. Just, it seemed like he never had a bad day. I'd never even seen him raise his voice. So he was just the clown of the family. And at our family events, it will be probably one of the most boring events or occasions that we will have, because when he entered the room, everybody know, oh, there go Uncle Bird, because he gonna do something to grasp everybody's attention. So I would say very witty. He had a love for music. He played the trumpet in high school and just won the crowd over. And I speak about that in my book as well. That was actually that Friday night that he played this one particular song. I'm not going to tell my book, because I want you guys to go and buy it.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely.
He did win my mom over that night that he played the trumpet in this particular song. So he had a love for music, definitely.
Thank you so very much for sharing that. And yes, we're posting the information for your book, the availability of your book and how to reach you for that at the bottom of the screen. And we will have it at the end as well. And you'll see comments flash across the screen. So definitely read them. And thank you all so very much for showing her love and giving her the support that she needs.
Thank you.
Sis, over to you, honey. I can't hear you, baby.
That's because my mute button was on. Everybody, Nakia has me traumatized because she does not want to hear the click-clacking of my typewriter. So I tend to be on mute and forget I'm on there. Okay. Jamie. Okay, because I have to laugh. It's my coping mechanism. Jamie, does your dad have a nickname that the family calls him or called him?
Yes, Son. S-O-N, Son. They called him Son. Yeah.
And what was his nickname for you?
I just called him Daddy. I didn't have.
No, I mean, what did he call you? There was something you said he called you.
Baby girl. Baby girl.
Baby girl. I wanted
was his baby girl.
Okay. So baby girl. That's so precious.
Did you know I was his baby girl?
I know some people ask me, what is that about? And I just wanted them to know, I wanted it to be very personal for you to say the name of the son and the baby girl. One of the questions, one of the things.
There's an 11-year. There's an 11-year difference between my sister and I. She was.
Oh, really?
Yes, she was quite. Yeah, so she definitely is a daddy's girl, was a daddy's girl, and so I'm a mommy's girl. but he wanted to give me a name to make me know that, hey, you have a special place in my heart too. So I guess I was a girl, but we all know that my sister was his favorite. Even though they say they don't, my parents say they don't have favorites, but they had favorites.
You have a brother too, right?
And I have a brother too, and we all know, when you're the only boy, he's just rotten. So yeah, so he is a mama's boy.
Okay. That's so sweet. Thank you for sharing that with us. I wanted to kind of go a little deep, if it's okay with you.
Mm-hmm.
I was interested in watching the BBC network. You guys, she just did last month was the 23rd anniversary of the murder of her father. And I know that we keep saying murder, and just know that we're not trying to be insensitive to anyone who's listening ears, but out of respect for Jamie, it has not been said that way throughout these years. So we want to make sure it's said that way. Okay. But I appreciated the information that they put out there. I'll say that. But one of the things I heard in there that was a little astounding to me was the level of prejudice that we know exists in Jasper, right? Those of us who live in Texas, we know it's there. We know we have to be careful driving through that city. Mm-hmm. But someone said that they kind of swept the racism under the rug. We found out that there was racism here. What is your response to that? Do you have a response to that?
Well, I can say I never lived in Jasper. I didn't grow up in Jasper. But from speaking with my mom and my aunts and other family members that has grown up there, especially after my dad was murdered, I'm the child to ask all the questions. So I'm, well, Mama, when did this happen? How have stuff been going on like this all along? And my mom, she would tell me, she said, yes, stuff not to the extent of my dad, murder, but there has been Black people throughout her upbringing coming up missing in Jasper. There's a lake, Sam Rabin's Lake. She would say, you would just find bodies. They will always make a joke and say, don't go to the lake because you may stumble upon a body, and they knew it was going to be a Black person. So there has been there's racism. There has been racism in Jasper all along. It's just never come to the light like my dad's. And I would say I'm so grateful, even though it hurts just like it just happened yesterday.
Right.
Yes, we did get justice by the criminal justice system, but I also feel like, when you take someone's life, especially to the extent and that was killed, in a person's heart, there is never really true justice for that family. Mm-hmm. Because you would never get that person back. So, yes, I am grateful that those individuals were found immediately within a day, within 24 hours, they were captured. However, this has been going on in Jasper for years, and nothing has been done about it. And if it was not for someone stumbling up on my dad's remains, this probably would still be another Black man, cold case, body just mysteriously come up missing, and they clean it up and nothing has happened. And even though some people have said, no, Jasper has gotten better, since the 60s, I don't believe that. I think if outside agencies were not contacted, this would just be another cold case.
And those outside agencies were contacted because of one particular young man, right? There was a little boy, a 6-year-old boy, right, traveling with his dad.
There were. Yes, well, I know that there were, I don't know his age, but I know that there was a kid that was walking, and he went and told his parents. So his parents were the individuals who made the contact to the FBI, the sheriff, and the sheriff's called the FBI in because they knew from the description of what was reported that they needed an outside aid. Plus, Huff Creek it's not in the city limits of Jasper, so that's why they called the sheriffs out. So
okay, so the little boy stumbled upon the remains, and he got his parents to call, and because it was right outside of the Jasper city limits, then the sheriff of Newton County showed up, and that's how he ended up calling the FBI. If you could talk to that little boy, what would you say to him?
Oh my gosh, first I would just I wish I could just hug whoever that individual is, because he has put the puzzle together for my family, and he has somewhat mended our broken heart. That if it wasn't for him stumbling up on my dad and reporting it, again, I would be wondering. That would be another layer that I would have to peel back, of wondering who, what, when, where, and what happened, just like some other people in Jasper. And I don't know how I would feel. I'm already having a hard time dealing with it, and justice was served through the justice system. But knowing that if nobody wouldn't have never reported it, what was the abilities of it never even come to the forefront? So I would definitely say thank you so much for doing such an honorable thing, and I'm sure he didn't really know to what extent and what he was doing. I know I wouldn't have, but and I'm sure that somewhat traumatized him. I mean, sure. I still to this day can't go. I have a hard time going to Huff Creek, and I've only gone to Huff Creek on 2 occasions in 3 years, because it is so hard to drive down those roads. So if you are watching or someone knows who he is, I would definitely like to just wrap my arms around you and say thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you, Jamie. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I know that in your book, in Jamie's book, she talks a lot of, the name of the book is Triumph Over Tragedy. Mm-hmm. And you definitely are triumphant. We appreciate you, and we honor you for being courageous tonight and sharing that with us. And if it's okay, right now, I'd like to put some light on the Bahamas National Youth Choir. I think this will be a great time to take a little breather, ladies. So Dexter Fernander, the director, I had the opportunity to be surrounded by these voices in person. They came to the University of St. Thomas. I'm just giving you a little bit of who they are. And it was a master class. And this is where hopeful students come and they get put on the spot and sing for you. And then you have some more advanced people sing for them. And I was asked to sing. And so then we ended up just talking about college and them going wherever, and anyway, it just turned into a ministry moment. And so they said, well, we want to give to you something that you gave back. And so I got in the middle of them and they surrounded me. Oh my God. And it was like, this is probably what heaven is going to sound like. So it was just amazing. So the name of this song, this offering, is called Song of Parting. I shared with him, Jamie, what the show was going to be about, and he picked this song. He's going to introduce it for us. He says it can be interpreted several different ways. But for them, it was about 2 young girls who were little, like me and the kid. We go back to baby dolls and big wheels, and they move on in life, go to college, and then they come back. He said, however, the response has been absolutely beautiful with the different variations of how people interpret it. So you guys, I really hope you enjoy this from the Bahamas National Youth Choir.
Hello, I am Dexter Fernander, Director of the Bahamas National Youth Choir, and it is certainly a pleasure to participate in the Real and the Raw Talk Show. Music has so many positive attributes, and so does the song you're about to hear. It is open for interpretation, but it is our prayer that you will find peace, love, and comfort in it. Have a great day.
Man, oh my God, Vaughn, did you see us? Did you see us? Okay, I'm doing it by myself. Okay.
She's like, I'm trying not cry. Okay.
That
There's
was absolutely beautiful.
It's just so beautiful. And everyone, I'm telling you, if you want to connect with them and bring them somewhere to where you are, contact me. I will get you connected. They sound more magical in person than they do online. It is no different. And there's lyrics. There's a lyrics that the lyric there that says, "Parting is like sorrow, yet will I never forget you, my friend. And someday I hope we'll meet again." And so as I was listening to that earlier, this is the scripture that came to mind. 1 Peter 1. Blessed be God our Father, our Lord Jesus Christ, who according to his abundant mercy has begotten us again in a living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead, to an inheritance incorruptible and undefiled and does not fade away, reserved in heaven for you, who are kept by the power of God through faith for salvation, ready to be revealed in the last time. In this you greatly rejoice, though now for a little while, if need be, you have been grieved by various trials, that the genuineness rather of your faith, being much more precious than gold that perishes, though it is tested by fire, may be found to praise, honor, and glory at the revelation of Jesus Christ. So that is our hope.
Amen.
May that bring peace to us all.
All right.
May that bring us all peace. So here's my deep, sis, as you say. I know somebody, Jamie, who has gone through something very heinous and horrible. And one of the things that plagues this particular individual is the fact that what happened to them, so hateful and it should have been unavoidable. And in the anger part of healing, she had to say it. She had to say what she wished would happen to them. This is the person that loved this individual the most. Okay, so it's the young person's mother, because something horrible happened to the daughter. And I know that the part of the grief process for the mother is she just want to wrap her hands around the neck of those people and kill them. Not really, you know who wants to kill people, but you imagine it, right? You imagine doing some really hateful things to people who have brought you the worst pain in the world. And then you say, okay, well, I just want to say some stuff to them. I'm just opening up the atmosphere. Well, if I want you to be courageous, then I'll be courageous. So that person is me. And we have to forgive. But I just rather take a Mack truck and run over them people, to be honest. I went to therapy and my therapist let me say that. So don't judge me. I'm just trying to be free. If you could say something to those men, and two of them are off the planet, one of them isn't, what would you say to them? What would you cry out to the atmosphere, not only to those men, but then to the people who may have told the story wrong, to the people who don't understand that this is not just a public predicament. This is my daddy. This is my family. Okay. He is not a situation. He is a human being. What is your cry out to that? What do you want to say first to the hatefulness, the grief, and the anger? And then what do you want to say to the to people who need to not forget the truth?
Well, I've had the opportunity to speak with one of them, and I don't like to call them men. I don't like to call them gentlemen. Neither one of those. I mean, I tried to call them something a little more PG for, I guess, television, but it was, I would say, demons. I can't read individuals. I don't even know if that's too nice of a word, but I've had the opportunity to speak with one of them.
Oh.
I've had the opportunity that I did not take because I didn't want to speak with him, because I felt like I don't want to say anything to you. I mean, because my family, my sister, my brother, my aunts, my grandparents have asked on several occasions, why? besides, that he was just this black man that y'all was seeking out on this day, to, because y'all had a mission to kill and lynch a black person. But why do this to any individual? And they would, neither one of them would answer that. So I don't have anything to ask the one that's still behind bars. But what I don't, if I was to see him today, I mean, I am on my journey of healing, but I honestly don't know what I would do. Because that 16-year-old, that 35-year-old, that still had an enormous amount of hate for these three individuals, want them to be tied behind a big pickup truck and dragged to their death. I probably would get some of those same thoughts in my head if I was to see him today. But the 39-year-old, the mother that is really trying to walk this healing process and to know that that's not what God would want me to do,
Right.
I would kind of think about it, because I know the journey and the walk that I'm on now is bigger than anything that I could ever do to this individual. And to those persons who are out there, and that are just wanting a soundbite or just to make it seem like they know the story and the life and death of my dad, just be cautious and careful of, like my mom would say, be careful who you put your mouth on and what you put your mouth on, because
Right.
you saying things that are not correct. It is hurtful to the family, because that's not what happened. And just always tell to just fact check your information before you start just speaking on something that you really don't know what happened. I know it's hard to believe that, this 49-year-old man, was taken against his will. Why didn't he fight? Why didn't he? You don't know. I don't know. I know my dad put up a good fight. That's what everyone told us, the investigators from the autopsy. However, because he was dragged, his face was sprayed with paint prior to him even dying. He put up a really good fight. So he endured a lot of the torture before they started dragging him. That, dragging is what really killed him, not the fight, not the spray painting of the face, not any of that. It was the actual dragging. So just be careful. I don't have anything. I'm not a mean and hateful person, because sometimes people just don't know, that misinformation and things, a lot of people just talk just to make it sound like they know something, especially if they're from Jasper. You just want to act like you know the story, but you really don't. And
So
he was not, he did not willingly get in the vehicle with these individuals.
Vaughn, you muted.
I can hear you.
She muted herself.
I'm sorry, I did it again because I didn't want you to hear my typing. I apologize. Thank you, sis. You first, I want to really acknowledge you for being bold and courageous to say what was on your heart and say what you needed to say. And thank you so much. I know me and the kid keep saying it over and over, but thank you for your courage to speak out. It's very difficult. But you said that they were just looking for somebody that night, and that somebody just happened to be your daddy.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, they were drinking and partying and probably drugging. I'm not sure about the drugging part, but sure that was part of it. Alcohol played a huge factor in them seeking out a black man. There were notes found in the apartment which they were partying in, basically a sketch and a diary saying what they were going to do to a black man, and they were trying to start a local white supremacist group in Jasper. And my dad happened to be that man that they sought out that night. to lynch and to spark this type of attention. And they knew in order to start white supremacist group in Jasper that they had to do something very horrific and very profound to it's like a gang initiation. So that's what happened. It could have been anyone. It could have been anyone's dad, brother, uncle. And it just happened. And actually one of them knew my dad. He knew my dad. Mm-hmm.
So that's why your father even possibly stopped to have a conversation with him, right?
They pulled up by my dad, and anyone that would know my dad know that he did not partake too much with anyone of a Caucasian race when it came down to like partying and all of that. If anything, he probably spoke, and that was it. But I don't even know how much a conversation that he had with them. But to get in a vehicle with three white boys, he would not do it because he already know the history of Jasper. So,
okay. Is there anything that you have not said at this point? And I know you have your book, and I'm sure that there's a lot of information in your book, so we're not trying to get you to give away any of that. However, is there anything that you would like to share with the audience, with the world, that you have not shared thus far? This is your time to like really just speak and say whatever it is it's on your heart that you want the people to know and to be left with. And this, we still have some time, but I really want you to have this space to speak freely.
I will just give encouraging words to anyone, and I know Greta, you was stating about not forgiving the individual. I had to forgive those three individuals because I needed to start another life, because the life I was living for 23 years, because I'm 39 now. At 35, I woke up and I was like, I'm tired of feeling this day to day. And sometimes it came, moment to moment, hate in my heart. And I walk around and I smile, and people don't see it, and they don't see the hate that I had in my heart for these individuals. They don't see the things that I'm planning out. If I was to see them, what I would do and how I would react. And my family would always tell me, like, girl, you need to forgive, or you need to go pray. And I always seemed like I was the only, I would say, family member out of my grandmother, my sister, my mom, my brother, that spoke out against, that I spoke on the hate I had for them. I didn't hide it. I never hid it. If anyone was to research from 16 years on to 35, I always spoke about how much hate I had for these individuals. And during the time of my pregnancy, God just came to me. I was just laying in bed, and I'm just glorified over this little baby boy that I'm about to birth. And God said, forgive. He put the word forgive in my spirit. And at the time, I'm watching my pastor, and Pastor Ralph Douglas West, and I'm listening to him, and he, and I'm saying, oh, I know God ain't telling me to forgive. Forgive who? And the only people that I hate is these three individuals, or I have any ill feelings towards just these three individuals. So I'm like, no. So I kept telling myself that's not what it is. I'm trying to quench the spirit. I don't want to listen. And God just kept saying, forgive, forgive, forgive. And I have said on numerous occasions, okay, I forgive, because that's what it sounds good to say that. In my spirit, I never really forgave. That day when I said, okay, I forgive. And the day that I birthed my son, I knew that there was a forgiveness that wasn't going to turn back on. Because when I looked at him, I said, in order for me to live the life that I wanted, as far as showing my son the right way and not having any ill spirit spilling over to my son, I needed to be completely healed. I needed to get these bad spirits out of my spirit, because unconsciously they were going to spill over to my son because of the thoughts and things that I was thinking. And I said, I don't want to live this life of hatred in my heart for these three individuals. So I need to forgive them for myself, not for them. I don't, I don't care about what they went through. I have no remorse, no anything towards them. I needed to forgive them for my process, for my healing, and for my peace of mind, because all these years I have been going through just these images of them. And the images were me doing something really torturous to them. And I needed a complete area, because it was something that was eating away from me. And especially in the profession that I'm in now, of course, it's not spoken, but we're humans. Police officers are humans. So, it's frowned upon for a police officer to say that they want to do something gruesome and torturous to an individual. And I kept hiding those feelings because that's just not the popular thing to say. But that's how I really felt. And I needed complete healing from that. And so that's what, right, I said, I needed to just start a place of healing for myself and for my son. So I would tell any individual that is going through any unforgiveness in their life, whether it's an individual that has done something to them or a family member. In my book, I speak about family grief and greed.
Mm-hmm.
That is so real. People in different ways, and grief leads to greed.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
I had some ill feelings towards family members, because I had this and look and what legacy do I want to leave my son? And in order for me to have a sound mind, I needed a renewed spirit and a restored soul in order to live this life that God has promised for me to live.
Thank you so very much. I have a few other questions, and then we're going to come to the point where we're going to get ready to close so we can be respectful and responsible for time. You spoke of being a peace officer with HPD, and you spoke of forgiveness, and you spoke of starting a new life for you, yourself, your son, and your husband, just a new life in general, so you can be able to move forward. How are you able to fulfill upon your duties in light of what occurred? Where do you stand now, and how are you today?
I became a police officer because I wanted to see the change that I want to see in others. And doing my daily walk at work, I'm just me. I'm a community service officer. In no matter what capacity I work in, whether it's patrol, I consider myself a community service officer. I want to be that voice for that little girl, that little boy who has lost a family member, a dad, a mom, to whatever. It can be incarceration, it can be death, or anything, because that's a loss of a parent or a guardian. I can speak to those individuals and say, hey, I know what you're going through. And that's what motivated me to change my profession over from education to criminal justice, because I wanted to it's easy to give people advice but then again, it's like a person know if you really have gone through something. And I feel like I have that whenever I'm speaking to anybody. I don't necessarily have to tell them my story, but when I speak to anybody, it can be an adult and on patrol, if I go to a house and I'm just speaking to them, they can tell that I've gone through something because of my passion that I have for whatever their situation is. And that's what motivates me every day when I put my uniform on, is being the change that I want to see, being that voice that can walk in solidarity with anybody, and say, hey, I've gone through something. And it's a lot of people that don't even know my story, but they know when I speak to them, they know that I have passion for whatever situation that they're going through, sincerely concerned about their situation. And we need more people that look like me, that can speak that. Because we don't have a lot of officers that, one, they feel like they don't have the time, they got to run from call to call. Two, a lot of people don't have the experience to speak that to individuals. So that's my everyday drive whenever I put my uniform on.
Thank you.
Despite what is going on in the world, and despite that sometimes officers are not looked upon as honorable. And so that I just try to stay led by that.
Thank you so very much, Jamie. So we only have just a few moments left. Don't leave when we're done, Jamie, because we definitely want to show you our gratitude for being here, for honoring our guests in this platform with the opportunity to share your story and speak of you and your father, the son, and his baby girl. Von Greta, we only have a few moments. If you want to leave our audience with anything, and then we can come back to the after the show after party and speak a little bit more, myself and you, if you decide to do that.
Actually, I want to go ahead and just leave my thoughts for the after show party, because we're almost finished here, and just really encourage everyone to make sure you check our social media, because in the next coming days we're going to be really posting information about Jamie's book, Triumph Over Tragedy. What a wonderful title. And we want you to make sure that you can get straight to her to order your book. We're going to pre-order ours so we can get our signed copy. And please, and I want to just make sure everybody knows, for what Nakia was talking about, the after party show, what we do is we come on after this for just a little while to be grateful, show some gratitude, and we'll have the Slappy Payne with us. And so if you're watching on YouTube, just refresh your page, and at 10:15 we'll be on, and on Facebook the same thing, refresh your page and we'll be on. And other than that, Jamie, I just want to be grateful and thank you so much for joining us. I'll save my thoughts for then. Over to you, Nakia.
Thank you so much, Jamie. One clear sentence, final thoughts. What would you like to leave? Call to action, contacting you, whatever it is. What would you like to say?
Okay. Thank you everyone for this opportunity. Yes, please go out and purchase my book, Triumph Over Tragedy. It is a healing book for you. It is a book of restoration and renewed spirit. Anyone can read it, a teenager to an adult. Please go out and get that book at Jamie A.B. Queen. You can PayPal. It's $24. If you purchase it now, you will get a personalized copy sent to your doorstep. Again, Jamie A.B. Queen, that is my PayPal. It is $24. You will get a personalized copy sent to your doorsteps. And I thank you and I appreciate this opportunity, Nakia and Vaughn. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
You're welcome. And again, we're going to post it. Sis, right?
We're going to post it. Absolutely. We're going to make sure we share all of this. So y'all really support Jamie. Just like we ask you all to support all of our guests. Send her love. Even if you don't purchase a book, or guess what? Purchase 3 books, a minimum of 3, and share it with somebody else. Continue to support her and have them to purchase 3 books. Everything happens in 3s: the Father, God, and the Holy Spirit. What?
You gotta bring it around, girl. And I mean, it's right, because this is history. We always read about it, but here we got to hear about it firsthand.
Absolutely. See y'all at the next episode. I'm Nakia Franklin
and Von Greta. And
we are your hosts of the Really Raw Talk Show, where there are
that's you. And no judgments.
Everybody.
Hang with us, Jamie.
Stay with us.
Hang with us.
Bye.
Good night, you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on another episode of the Real and Raw Talk Show with Nakia Franklin and Von Greta. Remember to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and subscribe to our YouTube channel today.
A special thanks to our guests, sponsors, and audience members. We are grateful for your support of our programming. If you would like to be a guest or sponsor of one of our shows, please email us at info.realrawtalkshow@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you. This has been a Wisdom Entertainment production in association with Social Integration. The views and opinions expressed on the show do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the Real and Raw Talk Show with Nakia Franklin and Von Greta. Any content provided are opinions and do not intend to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Stay connected and join us for our next conversation where there are no boundaries and no judgments.
And